In a forever world, every block has to matter. So in today's episode, I'm not just building a house, I'm building a future. A future where this city, this series, and myself can all become better. From empty land to a living settlement, this is how my forever world starts to feel alive. And the first steps towards this require a little help from everyone's favorite Minecraft friends. Welcome back everyone to another episode of my Minecraft Forever World series. And in today's episode, we're going to jump right in it with the first build that you saw in the little intro. And with this 2-house pathway build that I'm starting this episode with, I am not really following the advice I talked about in the last episode of building with purpose, making sure that all of your builds in your world have a reason to be there, because outside of just kind of helping the flow of the main little farm area that I'm building here, these two houses don't really serve much of a purpose in the world besides hopefully looking good. I definitely wanted to at least switch up a little bit of the building styles with these two houses. This first one here that you're seeing now, I went for more of a calcite, diorite, quartz, and also adding a dark oak trim to it. And with this tunnel portion of the build, I decided to just go with a purely stone frame since, we want more structure to that build. And then with this second house, I decided to stick with the similar palette to the first farmhouse. But to undermine my advice that I gave in the last episode again of having a use for all these houses, sometimes you just need to make a house that doesn't necessarily help you with the Minecraft gameplay aspect, but might help make your builds look a lot more cohesive and a lot better. And I think as this episode goes along, you will find that these houses do that for this area. But I am going to stop my talking and let you guys enjoy the music and enjoy me building the interior of these two houses. Build is finished. I think it turned out pretty well. I like the contrast between the gray stones and then the white stone over here. But the main purpose of this build is to serve as sort of a gateway walkway to our next area that we will be building in this episode. And that stuff is over here, which will be a villager breeding, I don't want to call it stables because they're villagers, they're not animals, but that's kind of what it is. Villager breeding stables over here looking over this nice lake. And I needed this to kind of break up the area, but don't look at the back because still got a little bit of terraforming to deal with. But before we start the villager breeder build, I think I want to build the path through here. I think it'll make it look a lot nicer. Right now it kind of just gets plopped down on the land. So I'm going to do that and enjoy. And adding this path and all the vegetation definitely helped to improve this build and make the whole area look a lot better. And just like the tree I added to the farmhouse, adding this tree over here just adds so much character to the build and to the area as a whole. I cannot overstate how much good adding custom trees does to a build. But now that I've got the front of this build looking nice, our job is not done because we still have to deal with this back area. But I'm gonna get on that now, so gonna have another quick time lapse and enjoy. Alright, now that I've got the area looking a little more natural, isn't just a floating island anymore, I think I like this. I'm not totally sure if it's because this part of the area just kind of looks weird without anything there, but I do want to eventually do something with this whole area. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any ideas for that, because I'm definitely open up to suggestions, and I think something really cool could go here. But what we do with this hole is a question for a future episode. Now it is time that we focus on the main build of this episode, which is the villager breeder stables, basically where I'm going to get all my villagers for future builds. And here are the materials, keeping it mostly the same. Again, as I'm building out this city, I think one of the main ways that you can just add a lot of cohesiveness and a lot of sense that, yeah, this is all one, city, part of one area, is by using the same block palette. And obviously I don't want to use the same block palette for everything, but I think keeping with a, stone, whether it's gray or white, Wait, why is there a big hole in my roof? Well, guys, there's a first for everything, and unfortunately this time it is a lightning bolt to a roof. And it looks like it's done a pretty good number on the roof, but thankfully it doesn't seem to have spread to the other floors. That would have been really bad. But I guess now I have to patch up this roof and maybe invest in some lightning rods, I guess. There was a perfectly good deep slate roof here for it to hit, but no, it just had to hit the spruce roof. And there we go. I think the roof is hatched up. Take a quick look. And yeah, it's looking good as new. But I did make sure to make 2 of these. Fortunately, for now, I don't think it's going to look very natural, but it'll get the job done and it will prevent further lightning-related catastrophes from happening. But after that small setback, I think it is finally time that we start the main build of this episode, which is the villager breeder. Going for the greystone spruce wood build palette that I love so much. And as you can see with the land here, it is going to need a little bit of terraforming just to make a large enough plot for me to build it in. But I really love this location because I think having large windows, which you guys will see soon, looking out directly into this little pond, lake, river area, I think that's going to look really nice, look really natural. And I'm going to get more in depth on the build as a whole during the time lapse, so let's get that started and enjoy. The main influence for this build were those huge convention center hall buildings that you see with the giant glass roofs and the huge bay windows, and I thought that this style of building just went perfectly with the villager breeder and the scale of what I was going for with this build. The one thing that I want to point out with this build is how important it was to mob proof. Obviously, whenever you're building with villagers, making sure zombies can't get to them is the #1 priority. And I made sure to put as many lights as I possibly could. You can see all the lanterns hanging from the sky. And then in the large entrances, I wanted to have those big open spaces, but I also want to make sure that the zombies can't get in. So I made sure to have 3 tall fences where necessary, fence gates blocking there. I will have to remember to close them whenever I leave, but hopefully it all works out and I don't have to deal with any zombified villagers in my villager breeder. And after a lot of glass placed and a lot of falling from a height, I think this is looking good. Obviously this is just the exterior, but in here is where the villager breeder itself will go. I'm actually doing 2 different breeders, and the villager breeders that I'm making is by Mortings, which I will include a link in the description if you want to build these too. I think his villager breeders are exactly what I needed. 1, easy to make, and 2, I wanted to have 2 villager breeders here in this space. Alright, so first I gotta lay the groundworks of this breeder so that I can have a place to put the villagers when I eventually get them. and deal with that pain in the butt. I'm gonna do a quick time lapse to do that, and then we'll face the tasks ahead of us. So I think instead of doing the boat method for this one, I'm definitely going to use minecarts and rails because that's a lot easier and I don't have to deal with the pain in the butt that is getting boats across choppy terrain. Alright, let's get this guy in. Come on. There we go. Just have to give it some oomph. So after doing everyone's favorite Minecraft activity of moving villagers, we finally got 2 of them in here to get it started, and looks like they've already gotten a little busy, so that is a good sign that I did everything right. Hopefully when this guy grows up, he will, get taller, be able to get into this water source, come over here, and I will be able to load in some minecarts and get him to wherever I want to use him for. This is actually a pretty easy villager breeder. My main concern is obviously zombies. I don't think anything can spawn in here. I've gotten more than enough light sources, but I may or may not have had one casualty when moving them over, so I gotta keep an eye on that. But hopefully everything is good and we will have villagers in plenty. Look at our little guy down there. So now that the villager breeder is complete and the villagers are safely in there and definitely growing, I think it's time to add the finishing touches. And as you can see, I already started the pathway, but it definitely needs this same level of care and love over here. So I'm gonna get that and enjoy. As I add the final touches on these 2 builds, I just want to thank everyone for all the support on the last episode. I loved reading all of your comments. I loved hearing all of the feedback, and I definitely will take it to heart. And I love hearing that you guys are enjoying the series so far. Again, like I've said in past videos, I plan on doing this series for the long haul. It might take a little while for the videos get out with life and everything else, but hearing that you guys are enjoying the series makes it that much worth it to me. Actually walking through the builds now that they're done just gives you a sense of scale after you've not only done the builds themselves but built up the area around them, and it just feels so nice and calm. But with that being said, I think that is a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much for watching if you watched to this point, and make sure to like, subscribe, and leave any comments of anything you want to see in future episodes, or just any general feedback you have. I do make sure to read all the comments I get on these videos, and I will 99.9% of the times leave a response. So anything you have to say, make sure to leave it down below. But with that being said, Thanks for watching again, and see ya.